what are the priorities from now until Wednesday that you are hammering to your guys?
Just the same message that has been present since day one. Our defense in that 3 wins was great. Our defense in the 2 losses was non-existent. Starts in transition, then it goes to our paint, then it goes to the 3, then it goes to rebounding. Offensively taking care of the basketball. Those are the things that jump out when I look at the 5-game preseason numbers, and more importantly, the numbers in our wins compared to our numbers in losses. So that's today. We did just one live thing, worked on some special situations, some execution. White team dominated blue. Bones, Bruce, Davon, Jeff, and DJ did a hell of a job. And as I told the blue team, they're going to have to be a lot better than that as we move forward.
You said that you guys had a really good training camp, had a really good September. What do you attribute that to, and do you sense a little bit more excitement given that you guys have your full complement of guys available this season?
I think it's there's some continuity here, but I think bringing in 8 new players, as well as some of the Exhibit 10 guys that we had, guys like Grant Golden, Kellen Grady, Adonis Arms, Chason Randall, those guys were great for us. And I thank them for their hard work while they were with us. But I think part of it was having as many new guys. I think part of it is, okay, Jamal and Michael are back. And I think there's also some motivation and disappointment in terms of how last season ended. So you put all those into a mixing bowl. I think there's been just a great energy, great camaraderie, connectivity throughout September, throughout the preseason training camp, and that's going to have to continue to be there, Mike, because our schedule is going to be really a challenge. We're going to have that energy to get through that.
What is it that second unit's been doing? It sounds like they've won a lot of these live scrimmages and practices lately. What is it that they're doing well?
Executing, defending, the details, and I think for the blue team, just being a little bit more disciplined in terms of what we're trying to accomplish, both offensively and defensively. But I think if you polled most NBA teams, quite often the second team kicks the first team's ass. So it's not a complete surprise, but once again, make them beat you. I just didn't think the blue team had the requisite focus and discipline throughout those possessions at the end of practice. And obviously, the hope is that that'll be better tomorrow, and most importantly, Wednesday night.
Coach, I know you're going to hate this, but how much of that has to do with maybe starters and guys who play, let's get to the season, let's put it on the floor on game day?
I hope it's not that, because I don't have a magic switch in my bag. I think that was, our first game against OKC, second against Chicago, Vic. I felt there were some guys like, we'll be all right. When we get to regular season, we can just turn that switch on. I've been around one guy in my career that had a switch. That was LeBron James. 99.9% of teams and players don't have a switch. So it's all about building habits, right? If you don't build the habits now, they're not going to be there opening night. And overall, I think our camp has been phenomenal. So give credit to the white team. It's not that blue team was awful. White team's also been really, really good. So it's kind of 2 sides to that coin.
Was Jamal participating in that live portion you guys did?
Yeah, everybody participated today. We wanted to limit the up and down, the pounding, just knowing the schedule that we're coming out of, and more importantly, what we're going into. I think you always have to understand where you're at, and more importantly, what you're heading into as a group. When I get the Steve Short email at nighttime and all the various bumps and bruises throughout the roster, I get nervous. So we just wanted to kind of did a lot of station work, drill work, repetition, and then had one live segment executing half-court offense as well as some special situations, and we got a lot out of that, which was good.
Is he good to go for Wednesday, I guess that is, the opener?
As far he was good to go for today, so unless something changes, I don't see him not being available on Wednesday night.
Coach, can you sense a shift in energy that the season's a couple days away? Can you sense more of an urgency from you guys, or has it been like that for a couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about our group is I go back to September. We had a great September. The energy in this gym, it was a full gym, was tremendous. That carried out to San Diego. It was great. And as I told you guys, after our loss in Chicago, the weird thing was we were playing harder in practice than we were in those first 2 games. And that finally shifted. We were playing as hard, if not harder, in our final 3 games and that's why there was such an uptick in our play on both ends. So I think guys are definitely excited to start the season, get it underway. But the excitement, the energy, the enthusiasm has been there all along, which as a coach, you can't ask for anything more than that.
Coach, in past years, this team has both started slow, they've started fast. What are some of the common denominators in starting the season well, and how can the team kind of do that this year?
Yeah, I think for the majority of our first 7 years, we've gotten off to really good starts. Obviously, last year we were 10-10 after 20 games, which is not where you want to be. And we talked about that in San Diego prior to our first practice, how grueling the schedule is and how important it is to get off to a good start. The keys to that, obviously being healthy is always the key to that. Having all your guys available to play as many minutes as they need to play. We're not going to have that early on, so we're going to have to find ways to rely upon our defense, execute offensively, not beat ourselves with turnovers, and use the depth and versatility that a roster offers. And I'm not worried about just the first 20 games. I am looking at this as a full 82-game season and very big picture approach, because I know the team we are come Wednesday night will not be the team that we're at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, All-Star break, and most importantly, into the season.
You mentioned looking at the stats from preseason. What were some of them that stood out, and was offensive rebounding a part of one of the numbers that stood out to you?
Offensive rebound for us or our opponents?
For you.
For whatever reason, our offensive rebounds last year took a real deep nosedive. I think it was average at best in the preseason. So yeah, you want to get extra possessions. We're putting such an emphasis, Adam, on our transition defense, because that has been porous at times. That is like fire number one. Let's get that settled, and then we can work on getting guys on the glass and getting extra possessions. But the things that jump out to me were defensively, the win-loss differences were like drastic, and that makes sense, right? When you defend, you give yourselves a chance. And at 2 losses, our defense was non-existent, as I mentioned many times. The turnovers continue to be an issue. Hopefully those will go down as we settle into the season, but we can't turn the ball over 17 times a night and give up 19 points a game, which is what we did in 5 preseason games. The 3-point shooting, we didn't shoot it great, but more importantly, we didn't shoot a lot. We shot maybe 33s a game, which is a low number. We have to find ways of generating more quality threes, paint threes, because that's the shot we're all trying to generate. We generated over 10 corner threes a game, but for some reason our corner three percentage is 31%. That's a shot, that's a gold shot. That's like whatever we all strive for, and we're just not shooting them well right now. And hopefully we'll get to a point where they'll start going down at a much higher rate. But there's so many things. I thought Michael Porter, his numbers were back to being the numbers that we expect: 50 from the field, 40 plus from 3, 80 plus from the foul line. That was encouraging. But as a team, starts and ends with our defense, take care of the basketball, and if we do those things, that should enable us to give ourselves a chance every single night.
To defend like you guys did against the Warriors, a team that you went up against in the playoffs last year when they were playing a lot of their guys through 3 quarters, how much more confidence does just defending like you did in that particular matchup give you going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I know we lost 4-1. I was pretty confident coming out of that series. I know that may sound strange, but look at Game 3 at home, a game that we blew, we gave away. So easily you could say that should have come back here for a Friday night Game 6. All the games we were in, the biggest problem against that team in Golden State is you can't allow them to go on the runs that we allowed them to go on, to close the first quarter, to close the third quarter, because it's so hard to make up for that with all the offensive firepower they had. But to your point, Harrison, I thought that third quarter was really encouraging to go out and score 40 plus points, to hold them to 20, and to get contributions from a lot of different people was encouraging. So you always want to measure yourself against the best. They are the defending champs. I know full well, though, it was a preseason game. They had guys working themselves back in just like we did. And when we play them on Friday, I expect a much different atmosphere and challenge for us.